You're always going to feel a certain amount of frustration and fear, imposter syndrome, thinking you're not good enough or worthy enough. But if you don't just start, you're not going to. Welcome. This is Life Unwritten. I'm Cassie. I am so excited. I'm so excited to have you tune in today. This is my very first video episode. If you are listening to this on an audio device, I have a video version uploaded as well to YouTube. This will be a spontaneous thing to begin with until it gets to be a little more regular where I do both. If not right away, it could take its time. I had a couple conversations this week that inspired this podcast, and I felt really drawn to have to talk about this topic, the topic of fear. Age-old question. I want to dive right into this. What would you do if you were given a ton of money? Really think about this one. I think sometimes we throw out some cliche answers, buy a mansion, buy that nice dream car, go on vacations, quit our jobs, pay off debts, blah, 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 right? But I had this conversation with a few coworkers the other day. I had a couple really awesome conversations that kind of inspired this episode. But this conversation, we're sitting at work, it's almost the end of the day, and this question comes up. I can't remember who, how, when, just out of nowhere. What would you do? You have this X amount of dollars. And now this number could look different for everyone. I feel like 5 million these days kind of is just what we need to get by and fulfill our lives. And so I'm thinking, when I think about big number, 100 million, perhaps $1 billion, something that is just mind-blowing. You wouldn't know what to do with it. And of course, there's so many cliched answers we're all passing around. Pay off debt, travel the world, set up our kids for college funds, those of us who have them, and, help out family and all that stuff. And then there was one coworker who mentioned that she would quit her job, as she kind of whispered, apologies to our boss, who was also in the conversation. And she said, I would buy all of the equipment I would ever need, good quality equipment to start my own business. Cameras, lighting, a better laptop or computer, carrying cases, like everything I would need. I would go all in and pursue my dream, my passion. And her thinking was, if I had enough money to quit my job, I now have the time to do this and the money to buy the equipment, etc., that I need. Well, that's great. I think if you come into the amount of money where you can quit your job and chase your dreams, you do need to do that. But, it brought up another question. As she was talking, I couldn't help but think, why is it that we wait for these hypothetical situations that probably won't actually end up happening to us to actually pursue our goals? We think we need certain milestones sometimes to happen for us in order to achieve greatness, achieve our goals, achieve our dreams. And sure, $500 million, just random number, whatever that big number is for you that you'd be like, whoa, that'd be mind-blowing for me. It may not happen. It's not going to drop into your lap, more than likely. And some of us will just never see that amount of money in our life. And even just because some of our goals that we have don't really end up with $500 million in our hands. And that is totally okay. But why is it that we create these scenarios and think, if this happens, then I will do X, Y, and Z? I know a lot of us have this mindset. I did too. When I was a bit happier in my relationship, I'll start my podcast or a YouTube channel, or I'll write a children's book. I'll do the thing. Or, back when I was living in Ontario, when I get back out to Kelowna, BC, then I'll have the mental clarity to pursue my dreams because I'll be living somewhere I want to be. So one less stress to think about, and then it's always, when I pay off this debt, the credit card debt, the vehicle debt, then I'll do what I want to do. But in this day and age, if we're being honest, there's so much that you can do with what is now just cheaper technology that is still really good. We all have cell phones. If you're just looking to create content, even for other people, right now the expectation is that if you have a good smartphone, you can be a photographer and have content uploaded, be a videographer, and do things UGC style. And you can make tons of money doing that. So it got me thinking, okay, what is it that really prevents us from taking control of our lives and doing the things that we want to do? And well, obviously there's a lot of things. But I think it all comes down to the biggest hurdle that we face in achieving the things that we want, of saying, to hell with it. Even though I work full time, I have a 9-to-5 job, I have weekends, I have evenings, and I have mornings. I'm going to start doing some of the stuff that I want to do. For some of us, that is a side hustle that one day we want to be a full-time job. For other people, it's a hobby that we just keep saying we're never going to get around to. You know, for other people, it's spending time with family, or it's having a baby, it's traveling the world. We often get stuck in one thing: fear. We get stuck in fear that, one, we're not going to have the funds or the means to do the thing that we set out to do. So why set that goal to begin with? 2, this could actually work. This could succeed. And then what? After that, I have no clue what happens. Or just that alone, I don't actually think I know what to do here in this scenario. And so it gets to be overwhelming and scary. I know. I get it. You know, I've had a lot of things over the years that I've tried to start. Things that I've tried to start and let fear get in the way. Even fear of success. I decided to let go of my fear of starting something for myself. I don't care if this is, going to reach millions of people one day. If it does, astonishing, amazing. For me, this is just about doing something that feels creative, that feels real and authentic to me, and getting it out there in the world. And if people want to follow along, they can. And then amazing. Maybe we make some connections, right? And it becomes something bigger than it is. I had an experience, and not everyone's going to go through this type of experience, but I had an experience, a bit of a spiritual one, that is what kind of propelled and projected me to actually starting my own business. And it was a little wild for some people. This might be a little outside of your comfort zone of belief, but I went and saw an RMT who's also an energy healer, an energy worker. And not only does she work with energy, she's very intuitive and very smart, brilliant woman. It was my first time. She was recommended to me. And as soon as I walked into the room and she asked how I was doing, she could understand already how I was doing. And as I began talking, I just felt so comfortable to unravel. And it just felt like I was in a therapy session almost. Insane experience. And anyways, eventually I get to lying on her massage table and she starts to get to work massaging me, and she goes head to toe. She kind of just follows your energy. Anywhere that feels stuck, she leads to and she'll do work on. But as she's working on your body, she's tapping into you. She's figuring out and getting messages about what you're going through, what your future could look like, the things that you've gone through in your past, just whatever comes to her, she talks to. And I'll tell you, there are a lot of things that I might have guided her to and a lot of things that I didn't mention at all. And one of the in the middle of this session, one of the things that she brings to my attention is, why haven't you started your podcast yet? I had not mentioned wanting to do any of this on my own. She goes, you are creating content right now for other people, which is great. You have to enjoy the work you're doing. And I do. It's creative. It's flexible. I get to work with amazing people, a great fun team, and a company, honestly, that I've just been wanting to be associated with a little more to begin with. A company that I've followed for quite some years. I've used their product. So, it just seemed like a really good fit. And she just stops me and I get this warm sensation in my chest, in my heart space. And I start to giggle and she goes, that is it. Right there, I just mentioned something that you've been wanting to do and your body's telling you to do it. That laughter, that emotion, that happiness when you think about it, when someone's pointing it out to you, that you can't stop that. You can't stop your spirit, yourself, your mind, whatever it is you want to say. You can't prevent it from feeling how it feels, from living the life it wants to live. And it was really interesting. We went down a bit of a rabbit hole after that about what's stopping me. And she just kind of kept saying, don't be scared. Don't be scared. Just do it. You never know what's going to happen. No one has a script. And at the end of the day, I firmly believe this, but hearing her say it again meant the world in that moment. It does not matter what anyone else thinks about what you're doing. No one matters at the end of the day. I mean, you want to have good relationships in this world. You want to have a great relationship with your family, with your partner and your kids, your home life, your work life, even just as simple as going into the community. If you work at a gym or go work out at a gym or a yoga space or just walking into a grocery store, you want to be able to connect with people. That's important. But at the end of the day, no matter who's in your life or how important they are to you, what you want and need to do with your life, obviously morally right, of course, is not any of their business. You can do the things you want to do and have someone tell you, oh, I don't think you should do that. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Who are they to tell you the things that you want to do, whether or not you can achieve them, right? And hearing that again was just, you're right. Okay, so I have this fear. What's the fear of? And I tried to figure this out slowly. What fears do you have that are preventing you from doing the things that you want to do? If it is going back to my coworker who wants to open up her own business one day and have all the equipment she needs to film for people, take photos for people, edit and do all that for a living, be a content creator, whether that's commercially, for advertisements, for herself, locally, or just crocheting, whatever it is, right? What is the fears that are preventing you from taking an opportunity that you feel so passionate for? I think our fear tells us something. I think our fear gives us information. It feeds us possibilities about the future. It feeds us predictions from the past. Because, typically fear is rooted in seeing what either other people have done and failed to do, or what we have always done our entire lives. And so maybe if we haven't taken action is fear. Because then we're not in the comfortable. And I say this a lot. A lot of things, our brain, our fear, the way our nervous system sometimes operates, it's all to keep us feeling comfortable and safe. And if we're doing something new, it's not going to be comfortable because we're not going to know the outcome. And so what can our fear tell us? I think sometimes the fear is strong because it's telling us that we really care about something. It's telling us that we have a chance to change our lives for the better, and that is scary. And so sometimes you have to listen to that fear. What is it telling you? What is the thing that you are too scared to do right now in this moment? I'll give you time. I know there's something. And then what is the fear that you have against it? For me, I think it was always fear of success. Because success would mean actually changing my life. It would mean possibly getting out of debt one day, or at least doing it my own way. It would mean the possibility of being able to leave out 9 to 5 and working for other people. Our big dreams that we have, that we think sometimes cannot be achieved unless we're 35, 40, 50. Well, maybe when we're 60, when we're retiring, then we'll be able to travel the world. No. If you have something in you that's telling you that you have this passion for something, and then you have a fear connected to that, I think that is information. So figure it out. When I was figuring out why I wouldn't release a podcast, a YouTube channel, why I prevented myself from just creating social media videos, doing what essentially I've done for other people for work for a few years now, why have I had all of this doubt around it? And as I was digesting, I was trying to come up with how it made me feel in the moment. And as I would go to create a video, a lot of nerves would come up and it would just kind of say, don't. And I started listening to that. Why was it telling me, don't do this? You can do this tomorrow. Okay, I'm clearly scared of doing this, but there's no danger in doing it. So why am I scared? The only obvious answer was, this is what you want to do, and it's going to make you happy. And right now, despite being relatively happy, you can always be happier when you start doing more things for yourself. You're going to be. Even if that's leaving a full-time job, if that's being home with your kids or your partner or your family more, whatever it is that's going to make you happier. Despite being happy already, there's always space to be better, to live a better version of your life. Always. And I think for me, that nerves, the doubt, the fear was telling me, this is what you want to do. It is going to change your life if you do this. Are you ready? Sometimes it is just asking us, are you ready? And not ready for the negative that's going to come up, because we need to change our mindset on what starting something new really looks like or can feel like. Because there could be financial obligations to some things. There could be time obligations, right? Being away from family sometimes for periods of time, for minutes, hours. It can mean being a harder worker, keeping a 9-to-5 and a side hustle. That means your weekends, your evenings might change dramatically. But it doesn't mean you're going to not like it. It doesn't mean that it's going to be a waste of time or you're going to be overworked, because, you have to fill your own cup. Another cliche thing, we all talk about it. We have a cup to fill. We fill it most of the time with things that do not actually resonate fully with us and what we want. And then so when we go to do the things that we really want to do, that cup overflows. Not just do you have to think about what that fear is going to mean for you and what it's trying to tell you. You also then have to realize that you're never going to be ready. You're never going to be fully ready to dive into something because you're always going to feel nervous. You're always going to feel fear. I'm starting this podcast just so you know, so you understand what it took to start a business like this. I already had a camera. And so this is where it could begin to cost a little bit of money to do this, but I already did have a camera, which at the time was probably just under $2,000. I did buy a light. I bought a mic and a mic stand. I already had a computer, but either way, I have a cell phone. I could get some simple social footage with my cell phone and a mic, and I could have started. But I decided there are a few things that I would like that would make this feel the most comfortable for me. And maybe that's what you have to do. Maybe the thing that you actually have to realize and put into motion is you're not going to be ready. Like, there's never going to be a perfect time for anything. Not just the big things like buying a house, having kids, getting married, etc., etc. But for these little things, well, they're not little. It's huge. Doing anything for yourself, starting a side gig, like following a passion of yours, that is big. But instead of thinking you're not ready, begin to change that mindset to, how can I turn my point of when I think I'll be ready into small goals and steps that I can take? I used to think that things had to be so perfect, the best quality of everything. I'd have the most amount of time to put into a project. The reality is that I got back from work and I'm recording this podcast. and I'm still gonna have time to make dinner and to be lazy afterwards if I really want to and edit another day. It doesn't take a ton. And so build some goals for yourself. If you are fearful currently of starting something, of building something, of taking a trip, figure out some small steps you can take to get yourself to the point where you are ready, but start at step one. Start at step one. Hit record, publish that website, create that social handle, buy the tools, book the flight, or put that money aside. Start. All you have to do is start doing something. Because here's the thing, once you start building something for yourself, you realize how excited you're gonna be. You're gonna get giddy. This is thrilling. Am I gonna do this? I don't know. But I'm at step one. I can always quit. Step two, whatever that looks like for you, level up just one more inch. For me, that is turning this into a video. Okay? It doesn't take a lot. Step three, step four, as many steps as you think you need to get to that point where, you're ready phase. But begin at step one and then slowly move into that end product of what you're hoping you would have to begin. And I say just start because if you don't just start, you're never going to. Because even when it's an excuse, even when you get to the point where you think you are ready, you have all the tools, mentally, you are still going to have fear. Because you're going to realize the fear was never about financials. It was never about, am I going to have the right equipment? It was never about, am I going to have the time to put into this? Are my family, are my friends, my coworkers going to shame me or think it's too much or tell me I can't do it? The fear that you have is always going to be internal. It's always going to be about, do I feel worthy to do this? And am I ready for the success that's going to come from this? The happiness, the change of pace. Am I ready for the life I'm going to live when I start doing the things that fill me up? That is exactly what happened to me. I got completely trapped. At some point, I had all the equipment that I ever needed. Okay, living with my ex, I had more equipment than I do now. Everything you could imagine, a better camera, a stabilizer, 2 mics, multiple mic stands, the computer, the tech to record, lighting, the second office, the space, and the person to help me if I needed. And I still didn't do it because at the end of the day, I didn't think I was worthy enough to do it. And so you just have to start, because as you begin this project, whatever that looks like for you, you will realize that you can do it. Yeah, it started happening to me, and it just came to a point after having that kind of spiritual experience with that RMT that I need to just start. At the end of the day, that was the messaging that I heard, and it resonated with me. And if I can tell anyone anything, it's you just have to start. Okay, so think back. What fears currently are holding you back from living the life that you want to live? Hell, make a list. Verbally, mentally, in your notebook, in your cell phone, open up a note and make a list of all the reasons you think you can't do it. All the obstacles, all of the obstacles that might be in your way, and maybe you have some. That's okay. It's okay to have real, concrete obstacles. The second step is finding a way around it. So write down all of the fears, all of the obstacles that you have, and then begin to understand why you have those obstacles, why you have those fears. If it's something physical like money, equipment, come up with a game plan. It does not take long to figure out how you can get away with building the tools, whatever it is that you need, like that tool belt of yours. Okay, as simple as, financially, money's a very tough conversation to have with people. We all think about money differently. And I think most of us, including myself, often think of money as being a bad thing, a negative, right? We let money bring us down. If one of the fears and obstacles that you have is the financial responsibility to doing your goal, I think it's really important to just look at then the way you frame money. And I'm not going to sit here and lecture you on this. I'm not a financial expert or advisor in any means. Like, do not take financial advice from me. But mindset wise, what I found to help me the best was to realize that I had an unhealthy way of looking at money. You know, maybe a lot of us are kind of raised a certain way to think of money a certain way because of our parents or the people around us. And it's okay to be raised a certain way. It's okay to have a certain outlook and to be cautious. But think about why you feel that way, you know, and think about how you might be able to change that mindset. My mindset around money, and this is a continuous process for me. I am not perfect yet. I am not in any shape or form saying that I am amazing at doing this. This is a work in progress, but I'm changing my mindset from being, I am always in debt. And all of the money that I ever earn for myself has to go to paying off my debt, credit card, student loan, my vehicle payments. And then on top of that, it's all of the money has to cover all of these bills that I have. All the bills. I hate bills. I hate them. But why? Think about why. Why do you think every single dollar you have has to go towards paying off debt? And also, you should be paying off your debt. But to have that mindset that I'm in debt, all my money goes towards debt, goes towards the bills, is keeping you there. It's keeping you focused on your debt. And so guess what? You are going to gain more debt. You're not going to attract the things that you want to achieve or attract the money that you're hoping to attract one day if you're consistently in that mindset of debt. And this is a bigger conversation when it comes to mindset and manifestation and changing your beliefs to change your life. A way bigger conversation. But if you are struggling with money as a fear because it's an obstacle in your way, try to figure out, one, how can I look at money differently? Because sometimes in order to make money, we have to spend it. That is frightening. Sometimes in order to get anything in return, we have to put energy out into something. Okay, if you're painting, you have to put and use paint on paper to get a painting. That means using a resource. You have to buy the canvas. And so whatever your obstacle, look at it in a positive light. Okay, step back from yourself for just a little bit. You have your list of the fears and the obstacles. Underneath it, next to it, whatever that looks like on a new piece of paper, figure out all the ways you can get around that obstacle. And then figure out your timeline. How quickly can I accomplish this? But at the end of the day, come up with your steps, your goals, and start. Because if you do not start, like I said, you will not. And that was me for 5 years of wanting to create something for myself, even sometimes giving it a go. And then, nope, that was terrible. Or, you know, that video I created, I have like 2 YouTube channels that have a couple videos each because I kept trying to like reinvent myself, thinking that this wasn't good enough, that wasn't good enough, and then getting caught up in the 9 to 5 of things. Ugh, you know, at some point, I'm sure I will reshare some of that stuff, but it took me 5 years to realize that if I don't start, I'm not going to. So figure out for yourself the one thing you definitely need to do in order to start and set that up for yourself. I hope I haven't been rambling in a sense through all this. And I think sometimes we get lost as well in, I don't deserve the outcome when this happens. And so as you're going through your fears, if that comes up for you, the fear of imposter syndrome, I'm not good enough, ignore it. To a certain extent, you have to just ignore it and let it be, because you might always feel that way. You know, there are people who get on stage and public speak, who speak now in front of thousands of people, millions of people, who still get nervous. That is not going to go away. Some of that imposter syndrome and those fears aren't going to go away. So you have to start realizing or understanding how you can begin living with them. Because once you live with them and you do things despite those fears, you're going to change those fears for sure. So just start. I was speaking with an old college friend of mine the other day, and I was actually very taken back in a positive way, a great way. It was just, he told me that he's been wanting to start his own project for some time now, and seeing me do it, we come from the same background in education and similar projects, and he's been wanting to start and hasn't. His fears got in the way. He said, "You did it. This is inspiring." And I mean, instantly I kind of thought, okay, I'm not inspiring. Not really. Like, I haven't made it, like, relax a little bit. But at the end of the day, hearing that is just like, if I can get anything out of my own projects at the end of the day, it's going to be to inspire at some level someone else. And so to have one episode out and to have someone now come to me and asking me, how did you get over your fears? Oh boy, I was so thrilled, so thrilled, a little nervous on what to say back, but I had to then sit down and say, okay, what do I say? What did I do? And this is everything that I've been talking about, is essentially what I told him, is that you're always going to feel a certain amount of frustration in fear, imposter syndrome, thinking you're not good enough or worthy enough. But if you don't just start, you're not going to. Because that fear will always be there. I've said this, I'm regurgitating this, and it's true. I have not overcome my own fears. That's the reality. It took me an extra 4 days longer than I wanted to record this episode today. But I'm going to work with it. And you need to work with your fear too. Go back and think about, what is it telling you? How can you accept your fear, accept all the obstacles that come in your way, and still decide to choose you? Don't wait for perfect conditions, because there really aren't any. There's, of course, goals, but it's a goal. Certain conditions that we have for these passion projects are end goals or, early goals. But it's a goal nonetheless. It's just something that you want. It doesn't mean you need it right away to start. And of course, there's some passions. Yeah, if you want to be a photographer, you need that camera, of course. If you don't have it, you have to work to get one. But allowing yourself to not be so scared about what is going to happen in the future if you just say yes is so important. Okay, so don't wait for the perfect conditions. Start with what you have right now. And even if what you have is a few dollars, find a way to stretch those dollars out if all you have is the time to get a second job so you can buy your equipment. Or if you have the time and what you want to do you can use your cell phone for, fool around with it. Start. And so I'm going to leave you with this. What is one thing that you can do to inch a little bit closer to that calling in your heart? You got this. You can do it. If I can do it, if I can start a podcast and I can put this all on YouTube and start a video and whatever this is going to be, okay, someone who has faced a lot of insecurities over the years, imposter syndrome, who has, kept saying has so much on her plate emotionally. I got through all that to start this. You can start whatever it is that you're looking to start. And I hope you do. And if you do, please reach out. Please put it on any of the social posts, on any commenting pages. Put down the thing that you want to do. Maybe that's it. Maybe just getting it out there is all you need to do. So if you feel called to, if you come across any of these clips on social media or any space to leave a comment and say that goal that you have for yourself, your aspiration, your passion, comment, I want to hear it. I want to hear it because I want to see all the great things that other people are looking to accomplish. And I can't wait for that follow-up where you say, I did it. Because once you put it out into the world, you're going to get something back in return. Whatever your goal, I hope you realize that you have everything you need already to begin this because you are alive and you are here. So I'm leaving you with that. All right, thanks for watching. I'm Cassie. This has been Life Unwritten. We'll see you next time. But for now, please don't forget to like down below, comment your fear below and what is holding you back as well in that comment section. And don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so that you get updated on every time there's a new episode and video from moi. Okay, until next week.